Welcome back to another issue. I'm Beastie Boy.
I'm Table.
I'm Red.
It is I, Shino Brando.
And for today, we reached across from the east and the west of the world's best monsters. Starting off will be Table.
So to open it up with a modern example of a monster and fairly soft in terms of content that we might end up talking about here today, given, the entire genre, I am putting up the Fishman from Shape of Water as one of my favorite monsters of all time. Have you guys seen this film? It came out in 2017.
I have
never seen it.
Such film.
Heard about all the stuff that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's by Guillermo del Toro, so, good. Just, it is good. And
all that, yeah.
its main character is deaf. It takes place during the Cold War, and she fucks the Fishman.
Did you know that 37% of you aren't subscribed to the channel on YouTube? You can help change that by hitting the subscribe button just below the video. And now, back to the show. The
Fishman is, science experiment dude. He's been found from the depths of the ocean. He's now being kept in a evil secret bunker type thing, and the protagonist has to fall in love and then get him out of there.
Think like Abe from Hellboy.
The basic same aesthetic, yes.
Okay.
And given that Del Toro worked on that film as well, I believe,
Yep.
It sounds like he might have had some things left unfinished from that one that he decided to carry over into this movie.
Unfinished was a great way to put that. I would have said unresolved, but thank you.
Jeez.
That's why I get paid the non-existent bucks. This Fishman, first of all, looks fantastic. All right? And I don't mean that in a, I look at this Fishman and want to fuck him way. I just mean that, the effects are great. It's a combination of, I think it's almost entirely actually just makeup and a suit, because I believe this actor is the guy with the weird arms.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he does a lot of work. I believe he's in Star Trek Discovery right now as we speak.
Let me pull it up. Doug Jones.
Okay.
Doug Jones is the amphibian man.
Yes, yeah.
And he plays a lot of spooky shit across films and in various stuff because he's got long arms. He's got slightly weird proportions. It works really well. He's really tall.
He's suited for the job. Literally.
Was he in Pan's Labyrinth?
He does most of the work in Pan's Labyrinth, actually.
Yeah, that
He
makes
does a
sense.
lot. Labyrinth.
He's does 2 to 3 of the monsters? The main one?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So this fish guy, he doesn't really talk because he's a fish man. But that doesn't matter because our protagonist is deaf. So it's not like verbal communication is the name of the game anyway. There is, a little bit of murder involved in getting a fish man out of a government facility. But in general, it's actually just super, warm and soft and an exploration of two people in isolation falling in love and depending on each other in really interesting ways. It ends with, spoilers, super spoilers, so it ends with her dying in his arms underwater, and then she fucking grows gills, and I guess the assumption is they're now going to be happy fish people underwater together forever.
Oh boy.
It's a happy ending, and I'll take it.
It's a great happy ending. But he looks cool. The story's great. It's a subversion of the genre of monster movie, because the monsters in this movie are very clearly the people who would imprison a sentient being because he's funny looking.
It's different, yeah.
Exactly. And it's really a personal and emotional story because, it cuts out a lot of unnecessary dialogue, which means that the screenplay had to be incredible to make up that difference.
Absolutely
And
immaculate.
Yeah.
It really, really is. I can't recommend this movie highly enough, and I'm not even a monster fucker. Though, I will say, there is a point in all of our lives where we've gone, what would it be like to fuck a fish person? It's not even, a sex thing at some point. It's just, logistically, how does that work? How do you fuck the fish? And this movie takes that thought and takes it into, why would you fuck the fish? And the answer is because you love him.
Because of love, not because of interest.
How you do it is under the sea. So,
Oh,
I answered for you. There you go, got you.
Stop.
Unpleasant.
The sea is knowledge of many things, and sex with fish is one of them.
You know what? Okay, I'll go next then. So my pick is the granddaddy of all the kaiju, Godzilla. Started in 1954 by Toho, created by three very progressive Japanese artists: Moyuki Tanaka, Ishiro Honda, and Eiji Tsubaraya. Sorry if I butchered that last name. These guys decided to put a story together about the dangers of nuclear fallout, testing, and abuse. Godzilla was born out of nuclear fallout, starting from just a simple lizard turning into a giant prehistoric sea monster that had a hate boner for everything around him. Yeah, for a long time, he would be portrayed as the villain, often coming out to destroy Japan civilization. You know, it was like a story of tackling too much technology, too quick an advancement, too much testing, illegal testing, dangerous testing. And he at one point became the anti-hero, where he still kind of had a hate boner, but he took on the other monsters that you would show up, you know, and and this is where, you know, an era where he made a lot of very popular enemies like Agris, Angus, Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah. The aesthetic of it all was, you know, it's very simple. It's all rubber suits, a lot of very miniature sets, but it's the way it's filmed. It's just there's an appeal to it. They make it look as real as possible with as much destruction as they can. And when two kaiju throw down, for me, it's a lot of fun to watch. I don't care how silly it looks with two guys in giant rubber suits. I do love that shit. There is an era of time where everything has a time period where they kind of go campy. You know, Batman had it, Spider-Man had it, Godzilla had it too. There's a point where he learned boxing somehow. He would fly, spitting out like his atomic breath, but then flying backwards for some reason.
Okay.
If it works, I guess.
If it works, it works.
If
He
it
also
works
had
and
a
it's
son-
stupid, it's no longer stupid.
Right? He had a son named Manila, or sometimes Godzilla Jr., depending on which region you're watching this movie in. Yeah. And again, throughout the years, the evolution of going from rubber suit to what's now CG, with the latest being King of the Monsters, which I think I took you guys to go see.
Yep. We saw it collectively.
And, I saw it collectively, and he looks fantastic now. Again, the Japanese audience is very critical. This is kind of like this is a very big icon for them. So when it's handled by an American production, they're very
Instant suspicion.
Yeah, they're very wary, right? The one that we got, I want to say 1998.
Sure is.
Yeah, that one not very well praised, not even on our side of the shores either. There's actually one movie called Godzilla Final Wars where he takes on literally every monster from every era, period. That one showing up as well, and he literally kicks the shit out of it in 0.2 seconds.
Jesus.
Yeah, no mercy. He throws it into a stadium and then destroys it with atomic breath and calls it a night. The monsters, he looks fantastic. New CG has him looking really well. The audience, Japan, took to that one strongly. They loved the look. They're behind the production. They don't even mind that one coming from an American production now, especially since they had done their own version of a follow-up to Godzilla with Shin Godzilla, which was kind of a remake of the original 1954 movie, but modernized. And they really kind of like changed him, where he was more kind of zombified in a sense. And it's weird, but like his mutations are a lot different. He was able to spread little Godzillas everywhere. It's really weird stuff, but it's a very entertaining movie because it's kind of creepy. It still holds that old factor of like running away from a giant monster that's, you know, invading, you know, the giants, you know, the city, destroying everything. It looks great too. But that one didn't pan out as much. It was just too radical of a change, even though it was kind of a cool change. Everybody kind of liked it, but it was just too much of a change. And so they never really went back to that version. Then, you know, the American one.
Is that the one that when they write it on the poster and then people usually get like it's on posters or, you know, merch or something that they spelt Godzilla wrong?
Yes, exactly. That's the one. It's mostly him with a side profile and a red background. It says Shin Gojira.
Yeah. I knew a guy who got that katakana or whatever it is tattooed on him and it's still spelt wrong.
Wow, oh my god.
Well, that's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, his girlfriend also had tattoos of bottles of milk, so...
Fun fact, his name is a portmanteau. It's a part gorilla and part Kujira, which is like whale and like monster, I think. So like it becomes like giant monster. So kaiju. Gojira. Sorry. So it's not really. It's not even like an actual like term or name. It's just something they kind of like smushed together and made it into something. So
They're like, we'll put these two words together and then name.
Super Sentai does that a whole bunch. That's
Yeah.
not out of the question. Like the latest series, Miranja,
Hmm.
is the word mirror and the word ranger simplified and then smushed together. So
Hmm.
it's not out of the culture. It's always has been and always will be.
A thing for them. Yeah, right on. Okay.
One way to
That I
name
did-
stuff.
Some more fun facts about this guy here.
The
Taking
dude
on
has
a
multiple
lot of-
timelines.
Yeah, he's multiple timelines, a lot of enemies, some repeating, some have not come back, some will come back in the future installments. He's taken on a lot of guys over the years, including King Kong, which he's gonna do again, a follow up pretty soon.
I'm very
Um,
excited to see that because I liked Kong Skull Island.
Kong Skull Island is a very good movie, and I'm happy they're using it as an entry point to put them together. So, beside King Kong, he's taken on Shield, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers.
Damn.
I mean, the Avengers also took on the Attack on Titan universe, so this is not their first kaiju fight.
Jeez.
No, yeah. There's a wicked smash up of Spider-Man versus the Titans.
Is it Spider-Man or Spider-Man?
Oh no, it's good old Spider-Man.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
Spider-Man versus the Titans. Yeah, it's awesome stuff. It's pretty cool.
see, I would have imagined they put like the Japanese like fighting robot Spider-Man versus Godzilla, but they didn't, and I'm kind of impressed.
They're like, no. We need the real Peter Parker. Come on.
Zilla also has his own star on the Walk of Fame.
Really now?
Hollywood Walk of Fame, he has one.
He deserves it.
The man has made the fucking creature has made more influential movies than some of the people on there.
Hey, exactly. A lot of his stuff tackled a lot of like equal like issues, right? Pollution and just overconsumption, and everything that deals with that. Godzilla was part of that, and a lot of it transits through him, and carries on into like today. Still, I believe the new movies still kind of deal with that kind of theme, although they don't really dive into it anymore. They kind of just talk about, oh, he exists, but they don't really talk about why he's existing anymore. They kind of just skip that, and they're like, oh, there's more giant monsters, and he's gonna just fight them all now. So
If memory
I
serves
really-
me
I
right,
want
they
to go
do
back-
like the newest ones, especially King of the Monsters and
Yeah.
versus King Kong, whatever that movie's to be called.
Yeah.
Like they're paying a lot of homage from where they come from. So much
will
so that I believe in King of the Monsters we have an original actor or maybe even a creator going to bring Godzilla back from when they get, comatosed.
Yeah, where he's on his deathbed, kind of, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
And he goes as far as to reignite.
Yeah,
Uh,
goes
the
to bring
heart.
him like a nuclear package and then,
Yeah,
because he can't get out
Bring
in
him back.
time, so
yeah. Because the natural way is he's too weak, so he'll sleep, but his slumber takes too long, and right now there's too much shit happening, so they kind of sped up the process by giving him a nuclear jump start, and he came back super juiced and even bigger, which is a thing. Throughout his movies, that does happen. He can get way bigger depending on if he takes a lot more nuclear energy. There's one point in one era, I can't remember which era exactly, but he does take in too much energy to the point where I think he takes on SpaceGodzilla. That's a thing.
yep.
And
Goodness.
he gets severely injured to the point where he's like his heart is like on meltdown mode. So he's like on he's like on
Super life support.
yeah, he's got like a lot of nuclear energy running through him, but like his heart, like his body can't take it, and so he's literally melting down from the inside out.
His heart literally had a literal heartburn.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
A monster heartburn.
Which we call burning Godzilla, but that's at his strongest. So like when you take on that Godzilla, you're gonna get messed up. Yeah, in his last battle, he took on what's his name again? Destroya, which was like his last opponent in like after that universe, every timeline kind of just shifted. So that was like the last main timeline you were getting. So that was his ultimate sacrifice. So when he took on Destroyer, he didn't even really win. He kind of just sacrificed himself and kind of just hurt Destroyer. And then Destroyer kind of just faded out. And Godzilla Jr. grew up to be the new Godzilla, but like Godzilla Jr. is weak. So like we left him in a world where that Godzilla took over, but he's like not the same one, and he's just a little bit more puny. So
Listen, in our previous monster discussion, we were talking about, reproduction. How did Godzilla Jr. come to be?
He just does.
I see.
One day there was an egg, and one day the egg opened, and thus was
Mhm.
Manila.
And thus existed Manila.
And thus was Manila.
Oh, jeez.
Who didn't do anything, tried to use atomic breath and coughed a whole lot, and it grew up to be the new Godzilla, but was weak.
Isn't that the creature that has the most famous gif of him riding on his tail going backwards?
This is correct.
Good. Solid.
Yeah.
I appreciate that one a lot. It's like, wee!
But again, that's from the camp era, right? And we try to erase that by like killing Godzilla and having this one grow up and then not being as good. So we just close out that era with that.
I'm genuinely a little surprised how Godzilla and King Kong get intertwined together.
And
From being from like the
it's
same
because-
sort of time period and then coming all the way back around in a modern day to being...
Actually, King Kong exists a bit earlier than Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, he exists I think by almost, I want to say, a decade or so. And I think that was like the first giant monster we got full on stop motion animation, right? So at the time it was like, eye popping.
Which I'll be
And
discussing a bit more, yeah.
Which,
that
while
carried over.
while we're here and on this train stop, Beastie, why don't you take it away with some interconnectedness?
Yeah.
Did you want to finish?
Yeah.
You want to finish your point, and then I'll take it on from there.
Because that travels to the east, and that's where these guys got the idea to make kaiju. It was off of King Kong.
Mm.
Now go ahead.
From going on from there, which the beast I took on was, of course, King Kong himself. The king of, as they say, Skull Island. King of the apes, the king of the jungle, the man himself. But anyways,
Tarzan?
the other king of the jungle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the other one.
Brandon Fraser?
Yeah, stop this. Don't disrespect him. No, this King Kong actually did, or the initial beginning of King Kong was actually started from 1933. Started from like a small, I guess, animation, or what do you call it? The character first appeared in the novelization of 1933 film King Kong from RKO Pictures, and with the film premiering a little over 2 months later, which it did use a little bit of like, I guess, stop motion animation, I believe, or something close to that.
Yeah, that's how they did the spiders.
But that's how he was like brought in. Shino is right about King Kong being kind of like the first ones, but yes, they do have a little bit of intertwining with King Kong and Godzilla, just because why not see like big hairy ape and a big lizard thing fight each other, because
They're often compared, so that's why they go. They're always mushed together.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of movies for King Kong has been obviously made for either a remake of the original 1933 film, which is the remake would have been 2005. Peter Jackson was the one to remake it with Andy Serkis and some other people in that film. Otherwise, there were other versions of it where, as mentioned before, Kong, Skull Island, or versions of where King Kong himself was facing other versions of King Kong or Godzilla. So there's those different variations. But as I said, again, he is very popularized from then on. And also, the King Kong character was conceived and created by American filmmaker Marion C. Cooper. Also, the original character, the name Kong, is given to him by the inhabitants of the fictional Skull Island in the Indian Ocean, where Kong lives along with other oversized animals. So as we saw, like obviously in the remake in the 2005 film, which are, might butcher this, but Pterosaurs and different dinosaurs and Paleosaurus. But yes, with that idea, with the initial idea, obviously, for people that don't know about King Kong, he basically, finds a pretty lady, escapes once this group of traveling people come to this island, and in the sense of what had happened is that he escapes from being captured later on in the film. He tries to basically climb up this Empire State Building with said damsel in distress. I don't remember the name, but
I don't remember. It's been a long time since I watched anything Kong.
Yeah, so that usually happens, and that's what you normally see in the movies portrayed. But sadly, he then does die and fall only from the skyscraper after being attacked by airplanes with guns, aka bullets hurt big man in such movies. And that's normal, but like it sucks.
I'm pretty sure the name of the lady changes per movie.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I would also climb the Empire State Building and fight off a bunch of planes with guns for a really pretty lady.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. No.
There isn't. Regarding again for some small tidbits of King Kong, the Kong Skull Island movie, which was released in 2017, that movie was also set in 1973, just to be kind of different variation rather than the original 1933 version. It was kind of the setup for the MonsterVerse that we were talking about. So, like the reboot for Godzilla into 2014, and
so far he gets to live for now.
Yes, exactly. So it was under Legendary Entertainment's banner, but it is their own MonsterVerse that they were starting up. So
Also,
yeah,
they also updated him from being just a everyday gorilla, and they turned him into I believe a silverback now. So he's like the top of top of the ape world, right?
yeah, they gotta give him some powers. Like this boy's got to be strong somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Some interesting things though in some of the crossover movies of either just solo movies of King Kong or King Kong and fighting Godzilla. He has some slight abilities, which I found, which were obviously physical strength, some slight intelligence, durability. These other ones are going to be interesting, but radioactive immunity. So you'd have to just search up King Kong escapes, electricity absorption, and atomic breath resistance. So that's more or less relating to one of the King Kong versus Godzilla movies and all that stuff.
Yeah, interesting. There's two endings to that movie. One for East and West audiences, right? So one King Kong wins, one Godzilla wins.
But that makes sense, yeah. King Kong is one of just the big boys, and he gets hurt because he in some movies he likes this pretty lady. He gets killed for it because he likes pretty lady, and then yeah.
Coming up, we'll see how it goes down. We have this big old silverback that's not fully grown yet, and we have this big old lizard that's thick species ready to throw down. So I can't wait for that movie to come out because again, like I said, I love kaiju, so I'm waiting for that to pop up.
It's gonna be double the thickness.
Yeah. If memory serves me right, Peter Jackson is like really highly involved with the preservation of the original King Kong. I believe he's one of the guys that found the lost ending or found the spider scene that was lost for, I don't know, 50 or 60 years.
I think so too. I think you're right on that one also.
And this is why there was like a big cave with some spider skulls in it in his movie.
But I think that original movie they used a lot of they used everything they could because I think it was like one of the.
Can I ask a question about the logistics of a spider skull? Because spiders, they don't be having bones, my dude. Like no bones at all. They got an exoskeleton. That's sort of the point.
Yeah, but it's Peter Jackson. It's what happens.
For story purposes, I guess. I mean, one of them, Andy Serkis gets eaten at some point. That's all I remember.
That's fine. Listen, in one universe he gets eaten, in one universe he gets shot in the fucking head. Like,
one universe he falls in the lava and catching his precious. I know.
Damn.
Serkis dies a lot. I get it.
Fun fact, actually, the 2005 King Kong version was portrayed by Andy Serkis too.
I know.
Yeah.
See, the dude has come full circle.
From being King Kong to being Caesar home. But yeah,
All right, that makes it my turn?
Yes, it does.
All right, so my favorite is Dracula. And the reason I like Dracula is because he's one part, like, actually scary, but in more modern interpretations, he's become the romance behind the monster and why he decides to do the things he does, but also, like, what it means to be eternal, what it means to not be able to find a lover or someone to find you as attractive that you think that you might be, and the slow degradation of one's self-worth. My favorite of this is Dracula's Untold. It's from 2014. It's got Luke Evans as Dracula.
So good.
I've seen it too many times. I never fully intend to go watch this movie. It's always on, like, AMC reruns, or I watch it at my uncle's house because he loves action movies, and it just so happens to be on, and I just sit through the whole thing every single time.
I think that says more about you than it does about the movie, my dude.
It could be. The other reason I like Dracula is because he's got a long motherfucking history. And so in as short amount of time as possible, I'm going to go through it all. So in 1922, we started with Nosferatu. I know everybody in this call knows of Nosferatu because you've all watched SpongeBob growing up.
One way to source some info.
But yes.
Nosferatu because I'm just as old.
Okay, well, fair enough. You and Count Orlok, high-fived. Like, speaking of Nosferatu, you can find the entire original Nosferatu movie just on Wikipedia. It's there for free. I have it downloaded on the computer that's currently recording. Because it's so old, it entered the public domain, and now it's just for free. On screen right now, might even be a clip or two. Who knows? Next was the first connected cinematic universe. It was the Universal Monsters. This take on Dracula, famously played by Bela Lugosi. When all together in the Universal Monsters, this entire team is Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman, and the creature from the Black Lagoon, who spun out into the Fishman. So, like,
we love it.
We love circles around these parts. Next was the commonly referred to as the Hammer Films Dracula series. It featured Christopher Lee. Shino, what's a famous movie he did?
Oh, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was a James Bond villain in Man with the Golden Gun. He was Saruman.
That's
Lord
the
of
one.
Rings,
He was in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
League of Extraordinary, exactly. Another one, man. Fantastic actor, man.
In this interpretation, Peter Cushing was Dr. Van Helsing. It's titled Horror of Dracula here in the West to avoid confusion with the previous movies. So, Peter Cushing would also go on to do 2 non-canon Doctor Who films. They make merch of this. It's currently on Hot Topics. It's Doctor Who and the Daleks and Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. It's the Dr. Van Helsing, Christopher Lee interpretation, had 7 sequels. If you think movies are pumping them out too fast and there's no original ideas, let me go through all of them. It's The Bride of Dracula, Dracula Prince of Darkness, coming after Ozzy Osbourne's throne.
Okay.
Dracula Has Risen from the Grave, Taste the Blood of Dracula.
Thank you, but all right.
I'd rather not.
Same. Dracula AD 1972, and The Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Jesus.
I'm like, come on.
Satanic
We
rites.
were we that needing of money today? Was Bela Lugosi cheap?
I mean, hey, if you got something good going.
I guess.
Yeah.
Next came Dan Curtis's Dracula. It was a made-for-TV movie. It was the first movie to make Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, his supposed historical counterpart, one and the same.
Okay.
In Bram
Okay.
Stoker's Dracula, the original book, there's no mention of Vlad the Impaler, and it wasn't interpreted from him in the first place. But
Okay.
because now we can look at history from both ends, yeah, okay, they were the same person.
Okay, so it technically it's in a sense just the same person though.
History just decided to mesh them together, and now we accept it.
Right.
Gotcha.
Basically, it's accepted headcanon.
Love it.
We're going to skip a bunch of them. We're going to skip right to Dracula 2000. This one is kind of famous for making the Count and the Apostle Judas be aliases
Sorry,
for each other.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm so glad you're asked. The story
Oh,
goes
boy.
that after Judas had forked over the Son of Man,
As you do.
he had gone to go hang himself,
Uh-huh.
and
As you do.
the tree broke, and so he was
As it
cursed
does.
with being eternal. And this is why this is the movie that makes more relevance on why vampires and Dracula in specific are allergic, or however you want to phrase it, or weak to silver, because the 30 silver coins that Judas got in the first place for handing over Jesus Christ, he's still paying penance for it. So the next movie was 04's Van Helsing, which has a large swath of the Universal monsters, including the ones that I said earlier, plus Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, who die in like the first 10 minutes. It was my favorite, and then the 2014 one came out. Well, okay, it was the one I was most comfortable watching.
Fair
Because,
enough.
like, I'm not very much like a horror dude, but I like stories, and Dracula has a whole bunch of them all at one go. Next one is just the stinker of the bunch. It's called Dracula 3000.
Excuse you? What?
It's the worst one. So bad, I found a review that goes as follows. This movie
Okay.
is the worst thing I've reviewed. How bad is it? Every particular way. Acting, writing, directing, I could go on for paragraphs. To call this
Okay.
film shit is an insult to fragrant brown logs everywhere.
That's wow.
Damn.
God, wow.
Yo,
Hmm.
that dude was basically saying like, hey, yo, your money that you use on this, yo, don't ever spend that money again. Don't ever film.
Listen, if you just want to
Like-
burn money, just send it my way. I'll burn it for you.
Yeah, like, jeez.
I need more amiibos.
Jesus.
I returned Jump Force. Go on.
Ha! Stop.
Dracula Untold is the next one, and the most current movie. This one is my favorite. It creates a backstory for Dracula separate from Bram Stoker's novel. It was critically acclaimed for its effects. It also, like, half started the dark multiverse, which was gonna, like, include the Mummy and a in-development creature of the Black Lagoon movie, but that one didn't go off the ground because the Mummy didn't do well.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was.
There were some
Very
reshoots for Dracula Untold, that we're going to tie more into the Mummy and actually make it, let's call it what it is, the Iron Man of the Dark
Man of Steel.
Multiverse.
Sorry.
Wait, what did you say?
Man of Steel. Sorry. Go ahead.
Stop.
Huh?
I used the Man of Steel as a jump off because that movie was not connected to anything, and then they just decided to connect it to everything.
Jesus.
But now it is. So here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the quickest blow through of all of Dracula.
Dracula Untold did so well.
It was acclaimed for its visual effects. Like, that's part A of making a good vampire movie.
Right?
Yeah, and like he stands the test of time, dude. He's been in lore, in everybody's lore, from everything you can think of. Between
He was in the Blade
anything you've read
movie.
and watched. He's been in Blade. He was in Ghostbusters. He's everything you can think of. Dracula's been in it, man. He's been there. Second to say, well,
Dracula's public property, by the way, as well.
now he is. Yeah, I think second is what Frankenstein now.
Yeah, but you know what it means? That that means you can put Dracula in anything ever at all, and no one can stop you.
And
Yeah, but
so on that, very early on, by that I mean like the 60s, 70s era of making movies, people just introduced a female Dracula.
Oh, okay.
And her name I have not written down, but it's a twist on the word vampire, and it's got a Y in it.
Okay, vampire.
Vampire.
Yeah. Those ones play with how the Dracula character will do well having immortal sisters and also immortal lovers.
Oh, okay.
But less on, oh, look how hot these women are, to no, but like for real. Like,
Right on.
like, can we,
Vampire.
like, story.
Just drain the neck. Go ahead. I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah. No, but like, I'm your blood sacrifice. It's fine. Continue.
Go ahead.
Isn't that the point of Twilight vampires?
Shh.
I have to keep bringing it up now. Red, you committed this crime yourself.
No, we don't. Robert
Okay,
Pattinson did
so
what he did.
listen,
It's
on the
sponsored.
note of Twilight,
Oh, jeez.
okay?
Mhm.
They don't mention Alucard. They don't mention Dracula. They try very hard to stick to their own little bit of lore.
Yeah, which is probably a mistake because their lore sucks.
No, listen. If they stay in their own lane, they're fucking fine. The moment you
Yo.
try to call yourself back to the work of Bram Stoker, or to try to compare yourself to the 8 or so movies I just listed,
Things that don't suck.
except for Dracula 3000, yep.
Mhm. The hot shitty mess that we've now figured. But yes.
Yeah,
That's where
if
the
you
problem
stay in
comes.
your own lane and make your own things, that's
Mhm.
totally fine. This is why Buffy works with all of her vampire stuff. This is why Supernatural works with all their vamps.
Just the concept of blood-sucking monster, not the lore. That deep, sweet lore.
But as said by Red, they stayed in their own motherfucking lane.
But I suspect we've gotten a bit off topic here, folks.
Listen,
Slightly,
no, that
yes.
was the end of my vampire discussion.
Vampires are good movie monsters. Classic. And, who doesn't fear exsanguination,
And also, sometimes a really good starter of a universe. Like, Bela Lugosi decided that, like, hey, I'm just going to kick around these movies for a little bit and start an entire franchise, and also start a line of DVDs that hasn't stopped since.
Oh my god.
First,
The
it was a
Underworld
collection
movie?
of VHSs. Then it was a collection of DVDs. I'm sure you can find them on Blu-ray now.
Mm,
Say that our picks are some top influential monsters that are across the board,
hell yeah.
right? And they've had some longevity throughout the years, and they're still here and they still make for great movies. So
Mm-hmm.
we get more.
And I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could find a way to tie all of our movies together, but we'll leave people in the comments to do that.
Hey, if you can make that universe happen, give us a script. I want to see it.
Wait, so the Dark Monster Universe?
No,
with
all you
big
have to do
monsters?
is tie King Kong, Godzilla, and the Shape of Water monster, and also Dracula.
Dude.
Get Hellboy involved, and it's a movie.
I mean,
You know
frankly,
what?
yeah.
You know what? I accept. Yes.
Yep,
Put Hellboy
You hang
in
up.
fuck sakes, and I want that movie.
exactly.
Make that script in the comments. Send it to us, please.
I want this movie today, Spider-Man.
Yeah, it'll be better than the last Hellboy movie.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
I didn't see it, thank God. So we just leave it
Oh,
alone.
I'll watch it for you. That's okay.
You know what? Burn your eyes for me. Thank you. I don't. That's
I will do it. It's okay. I'll do it.
okay. Okay.
And I think that brings us to the end of our monster discussion.
Ugh.
insert a Godzilla scream. It is royalty free.
Just a roaring kaiju scream. Gotcha.
Beastie, if you could.
With the end of that Monster Universe escapade, that brings us to our socials, which is our Twitter, which is at Crusade Nerd. Instagram is Nerd Crusade, and we upload every Wednesday to YouTube, and you can download any previous episodes or listen on your mobile device through the Anchor.fm website or wherever podcasts are found by searching Nerd Crusade.
That's to be continued.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, go ahead and button mash a thumbs up. If you want to swing by when we have a new video, web up the sub button. Oh, and while you're at it, hit the bell to be notified by...